If you needed any more reminders that the election is coming close, like 46 days away, we're only 3 days away from the first presidential debate. That tells you that the election's coming. But early voting actually begins today in 4 states in our union: Idaho, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Vermont. And then tomorrow, 3 more states kick in with their early voting. With that getting underway, that makes Monday's debate all the more important. And all of this in light of some brand new national poll numbers showing the race is tightening. According to the latest CNN poll of polls, that's when you combine them all, Clinton is up by 3 points. That's small, but there's no margin of error in the poll of polls. Meantime, both candidates will be trading views on national security and potentially give their takes on the controversial police-involved shootings in Charlotte and Tulsa. They may have given a sneak peek preview of what to expect, in fact.
Those peddling the narrative of cops as a racist force in our society, and this is a narrative that is supported with a nod by my opponent. You see what she's saying, and it's not good.
There is still much we don't know about what happened in both incidents, but we do know that we have 2 more names to add to a list of African Americans killed by police officers.
So I want to discuss these comments and this whole thing that's coming our way like a train on Monday. Political commentator for CNN, Ryan Lizza, along with political editor of TheRoot.com, Jason Johnson. So Ryan, I'm going to begin with you. How big a deal is this week in race-related crime and the dynamic between police officers and the African-American community? How big a dynamic will that be on Monday for these 2 candidates?
I think it'll be pretty significant because, both candidates, frankly, have an incentive to talk about this. For both candidates, it's a significant issue, and obviously there are differences between them on this. For Hillary Clinton, she has really come out as a defender of the Black Lives Movement and African American activists who are, have deep concerns about policing in this country, and it's become a very important issue in her campaign. Frankly, in a way that it would not have been, I think, for instance, in the 90s for a Democratic candidate who would have treaded much more carefully on an issue like this. It shows how the parties really have changed. And of course, on the other hand, Trump has positioned himself as a stalwart defender of the police, of coming out basically saying that the police are rarely wrong in these instances. So I think they could have, quite an intense debate on this. And I'm very sure that, Lester Holt, the moderator on Monday, will bring this up. There are real differences here in the way that they view this issue.
Lester is masterful. He's just terrific at this, and I expect he will do a wonderful job. Biased, though, I used to host a show with Lester Holt. So let me ask you this, Jason. I want to go through some polling numbers because we've been watching, sort of with bated breath what's happening in the swing states. And in Colorado and Virginia, there's a dynamic playing out, and I don't think the Clinton camp is going to like it. In Virginia, this is the state of her running mate as well. Her lead is actually just up by 6 points. Now, you might say, oh, that's terrific, she's up by 6, but that's a shrinking lead. She's been doing much better in Virginia than that. And then in Colorado, she's only up by 2 points. Yes, she's leading in Colorado, but she was at one point leading much more significantly in that state. I think she even pulled her ads. I can't remember when, but she pulled a lot of her ads from Colorado, thinking we were good. Colorado, don't waste the money there. We're good there. So, Jason, when you look at shrinking swing states, which are critical, and then you have something like Georgia and Iowa, where Trump is pulling ahead by 7 points, Monday becomes super critical. Are you then aiming for swing states in how you perform, or are you not bringing that into the factor when you go to the debates?
Actually, everything is a factor on this debate. I have said this is like 12 Super Bowls and the World Cup combined. This is like JFK debating Abraham Lincoln. This will be the most watched presidential debate in history, because I really do think that both of these candidates are going to end up getting a boost out of this. And this is something important to remember. I say this as a political scientist all the time. Any polls where undecideds are more than 4 or 5% aren't necessarily that reliable. If Clinton's got a lead 42 to 39. That means you've got way too many undecideds. And most of the polling that we've seen, especially in places like North Carolina and Ohio, is that the undecideds, 68% of them tend to break towards the Democratic Party. And so what I think is most important for Hillary Clinton on Monday is if she does a good performance, we're going to see shrinking polls for Gary Johnson, shrinking polls for Jill Stein. Her leads will increase. If Donald Trump does very well, then I think he may be able to solidify his leads in places like Georgia and Ohio, and that limits the number of places that Hillary Clinton can guarantee herself a 270 electoral vote victory.
And by the way, that degree you have in political science, totally underrated degree. I'm just here to say it. I also have this bias that that's my degree too. So thank you, Jason Johnson. Yeah, represent. Guys, Ryan, thank you, Jason. See you Monday.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Up next.